Kim Jong Un was born into myth. The official date is January 8, 1983, though some records suggest 1984. His birthplace, according to North Korean legend, was a sacred mountain camp under a glowing sky. In reality, he was almost certainly born in Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. From the first breath, he was not treated as a child, but as continuity. The third link in the bloodline of the Paektu Mount, the dynasty that had ruled since 1948 through his grandfather Kim Il-sung and his father Kim Jong-il. In a country where power is inherited like divinity, Kim Jong-un's childhood was state property, wrapped in secrecy and curated for future worship. He was the middle son of Kim Jong-il and Ko Yong-hui, a former dancer of the Mansudai art troupe. His half-brothers and sisters lived in different compounds, rarely meeting. Even within his own family, hierarchy was carefully choreographed. At home, he was reportedly called Morning Star King, a title that signaled both affection and destiny. His mother, half Japanese and born in Osaka before the war, became the invisible architect of his early grooming. In the 1990s, as famine ravaged the country, the future heir studied behind high walls, shielded from hunger and ordinary suffering. He played basketball, built model aircraft, and watched Western action movies, especially Michael Jordan highlights and Jean-Claude Van Damme films, smuggled in through diplomats. Those glimpses of the outside world created a strange duality. A boy raised to despise capitalism, yet fascinated by its symbols. Around 1996 or 1997, he was sent abroad under a pseudonym, Pak Un, to the Lieberfeld-Steinholzli School near Bern, Switzerland. It was the first, and perhaps only, time he lived among ordinary people. Classmates remember a shy teenager with an expensive watch, a private driver, and a love for basketball. He spoke some German, but preferred English and the language of sport. Teachers described him as polite, reserved, and occasionally temperamental when losing a game. During these years, North Korea underwent one of its darkest periods. Floods, famine, hundreds of thousands dead. Kim Jong Un saw global abundance, while his homeland starved. That contrast would later define his rule, luxury secured by total control. He returned to Pyongyang at the turn of the millennium and entered the Kim Il-sung Military University. There, he studied command strategy, artillery, and the revolutionary history of his lineage. Inside the system, myth mattered more than scholarship. Propaganda soon began to hint that one of Kim Jong-il's sons was rising like the morning sun. By 2009, he had been declared the brilliant comrade, a coded message to the elite that succession was settled. His elder half-brother, Kim Jong-nam, once considered heir, had fallen out of favor after a failed attempt to visit Tokyo Disneyland on a fake passport. The younger son, more disciplined, more similar in face and gesture to his grandfather, was chosen. When Kim Jong-il suffered a stroke in 2008, preparations accelerated. Military generals, the party apparatus, and the powerful organization and guidance department began aligning around the young successor. Propaganda films replayed the lineage in continuous loops. Kim Il-sung, liberating Korea. Kim Jong-il, protecting it. Kim Jong-un, destined to perfect it. When Kim Jong-il died on December 17, 2011, national mourning erupted in orchestrated waves, a theater of grief that concealed genuine uncertainty. The heir was only 28. Many doubted he could control generals twice his age. Yet within weeks, he appeared in a black coat beside his father's coffin, composed and cold. The transition was bloodless, because the purges came after. In the first 2 years of power, Kim Jong Un executed or sidelined dozens of senior officials, including his powerful uncle Jang Song-taek in 2013, accused of treason and decadent acts. The message was clear. Youth was no weakness. It was unpredictability weaponized. State media began calling him the Great Successor, resurrecting the aesthetics of his grandfather. Slicked hair, dark Mao-style suit. A confident smile during field inspections. Statues were raised. Songs rewritten. The cult of personality expanded faster than any reform. Yet beneath the rigid spectacle lay a systematic modernization of power. Kim Jong Un centralized the nuclear and missile programs under his direct command. Scientists were granted privileges, better housing, food, and prestige to accelerate weapons development. Between 2012 and 2017, North Korea conducted more missile tests than in the previous 2 decades combined. Each launch was staged as a national holiday. The country entered a new era of controlled brinkmanship. Push the world to the edge, then negotiate from there. He revived the Byungjin line, simultaneous pursuit of nuclear weapons and economic growth. Propaganda called it 2 wings of the same bird. In practice, it meant diverting scarce resources to missiles, while allowing small pockets of semi-legal market activity to relieve hunger. Satellite images showed new luxury districts in Pyongyang, even as rural areas remained frozen in the 1950s. Inside those contradictions, Kim Jong Un ruled with surgical precision, balancing fear and limited reward. Externally, he learned the art of theatrics. Between 2017 and 2018, North Korea's nuclear tests brought tensions with the United States to their highest point since the Cold War. The world watched 2 unpredictable leaders, Kim and Donald Trump, exchange threats of fire and fury. Then suddenly, diplomacy. In 2018, he crossed the demilitarized zone to meet South Korean President Moon Jae-in, stepping briefly onto southern soil, the first North Korean leader ever to do so. Cameras captured handshakes, smiles, symbolic gestures of peace. Later that year, in Singapore, he met Trump face to face. The image of the young dictator walking beside the American president was a masterstroke of propaganda. Kim Jong Un had forced the world to treat him as equal. The summit produced grand statements, but few concrete results. Sanctions remained, denuclearization stalled. Subsequent talks in Hanoi collapsed in 2019 over demands for full sanctions relief. Yet, domestically, Kim Jong Un had already achieved his goal. He appeared on global television not as a pariah, but as a power. For North Koreans, whose access to information is tightly filtered, that spectacle confirmed divine legitimacy. Behind the smiles, repression intensified. Thousands of political prisoners remained in the vast network of camps. Executions for minor dissent continued. Surveillance expanded through digital IDs and informant networks. State ideology was updated, Kim Il-sungism, Kim Jong-ilism, a fusion of father and grandfather that positioned Kim Jong-un as their living embodiment. School children learned new songs praising his genius in both science and art. Each citizen's loyalty became both civic duty and survival mechanism. Economically, Kim experimented with limited modernization. Markets called Jangmadang grew under tolerated corruption. Urban elites in Pyongyang gained access to smartphones connected to an internal intranet. Skyscrapers rose along Ryomyong Street. New amusement parks and hospitals were unveiled with him cutting red ribbons. But the illusion of prosperity was fragile. Sanctions tightened. Border closures during the COVID-19 pandemic choked trade with China, and floods destroyed crops. reports of renewed food shortages re-emerged, though state media denied crisis. In February 2017, his half-brother Kim Jong Un was assassinated with a nerve agent in a Malaysian airport, an operation widely attributed to North Korean agents. The message echoed his father's methods. No rival, even abroad, was beyond reach. That same year, North Korea tested the Hwasong-15 intercontinental missile capable of reaching the continental United States. The regime announced it had completed the state nuclear force. For the first time, deterrence had a face barely in his 30s. Internally, Kim cultivated paradox. He encouraged consumer aspiration, cars, watches, imported liquor for the loyal elite, while reviving quasi-religious imagery. Sacred mountain pilgrimages, patriotic tears, synchronized mass games in May Day Stadium where tens of thousands formed living mosaics under his portrait. Every success was personal credit, every failure sabotage by enemies. In this system, truth was elastic, reality a script edited daily. By 2020, his health drew speculation. Photographs showed sudden weight gain, then abrupt weight loss. Rumors of heart surgery and even death spread internationally when he disappeared from public view for weeks. Then, as always, he re-emerged smiling at a ribbon-cutting ceremony, disproving gossip and reinforcing myth. Mortality itself became a propaganda instrument. The leader's absence provoked anxiety. His return restored faith. Foreign analysts debate his strategic intentions. Is he rationally pursuing regime survival or ideologically committed to reunification under his rule? The answer may be both. To maintain internal control, he needs external threat. To justify hardship, he needs perpetual siege. Each missile test, each sanction, each confrontation feeds the narrative that only the Kim family stands between the nation and annihilation. His marriage to Ri Sol-ju adds another layer of mystique. She appeared publicly around 2012, elegantly dressed, often at his side during concerts or inspections. Believed to be a former singer with a degree in music, she represents a softer image of the regime. Modern, cultured, relatable. Together they have at least 3 children, rarely seen, one of whom was shown in 2022 at a missile site, the beginning of another generational myth. Under Kim Jong Un, the state's ideology fused technology with totalitarian nostalgia. Giant LED screens project patriotic films. Drones and satellites are paraded alongside cavalry formations. He built a personality cult tailored for the digital age. Memes, documentaries, and videos spread online to foreign audiences, portraying him as strong, humorous, unpredictable. To his people, he is omnipresent. To the world, a puzzle. In 2021, he formally admitted that economic plans had failed and called for a new path of self-reliance. The pandemic border lockdowns made isolation almost absolute. The regime prioritized military development and ideological purity over reform. Analysts noted an expansion of cyber units conducting global hacking operations, a new battlefield where currency, data, and secrets replace artillery. Through these means, the regime secures hard cash while maintaining plausible deniability. Today, as of 2025, Kim Jong Un stands at the helm of a state simultaneously medieval and modern. Nuclear weapons and famine, digital control, and horse-drawn plows existing side by side. He has outlasted 3 American presidents, strengthened ties with China and Russia, and positioned North Korea as a permanent irritant in world affairs. Too dangerous to ignore, too costly to confront. His grip on power remains unbroken, not because of blind devotion alone, but because the system he inherited was designed for immortality, fear wrapped in faith. To outsiders, North Korea appears frozen, a relic of the 20th century. Inside, however, time moves differently, measured not by progress, but by loyalty. Kim Jong Un understands this psychology better than anyone. He governs through spectacle, missile launches at dawn, parades at night, slogans promising paradise tomorrow if obedience holds today. The dream is never meant to arrive. Its pursuit sustains control. The contradictions define him. A leader educated abroad, yet hostile to foreign influence. An autocrat who uses modern branding techniques. A dictator photographed laughing with children while presiding over prison camps. To study his life is to confront the persistence of absolute power in a hyper-connected world. He is at once a symbol of inherited tyranny and a case study in 21st century survival. A man who turned isolation into leverage, repression into spectacle, and fear into policy. Whether he will ever open North Korea remains uncertain. The foundations of his legitimacy depend on threat, and peace might be the one thing that could dissolve it. Still, like his father and grandfather, he builds toward mythic permanence, the eternal sunrise over Mount Paektu, the dynasty without end. Kim Jong Un's story is the anatomy of a closed system sustained by performance. His life compresses power, paranoia, and inheritance into a single narrative arc. A boy who watched the world through foreign windows, returned home to rule it in darkness, and learned that in North Korea, truth is whatever the leader says it is.